What a weekend of reveals. I think it's kind of the element of bias, of course, you know, being a part of Extra Life last weekend, but I certainly felt like there was a lot of things to tuck into, a lot of things discussed, a lot of things anticipated for the future of Ark, of course, all the Extinction reveals that we got, but with the interviews we got with the development team and, of course, the co-founders of Ark, there's a lot to go through, unpack, and just discuss. You know, you can easily gloss over a few things that we went through and, well, come on, let's stop messing about. I'm faffing. Let's get to it. Let's go through it bit by bit on everything that was revealed during last weekend's Extra Life charity stream. So first off, there's a major fan base for it there, Ark Mobile. We finally got our first look at it. And my word, it certainly ran a lot better than I was anticipating. I'm kind of curious what this was demonstrated on, what sort of device this was running on, but good grief, it looks very, very akin to ASE. In fact, I'm almost indistinguishable in a lot of people's performance and expectations of how they play Ark today. I'm curious to see how this will run on perhaps devices that aren't as high spec as maybe what Grove Street Games were using, but it definitely knocks it out the park in terms of just pushing that high-end delivery in video games on these small devices in your hands. Something I've overlooked in the past with Ark Mobile, just, you know, feeling like it being a much inferior version to the game we know. But this one really, really does tickle my interest, and I gotta see how well it runs. And apparently by the end of the year, we're going to be able to play this for free with the base map, the island, and we're going to find later maps like Scorched Earth and Aberration dropping later on, but those will come at a price. Obviously, it's going to be catered to a slightly different type of experience with needing touchpad controls. I'm curious how controller support is going to be for this one, but either way, I saw your comments in the chat. A lot of people are looking forward to this one. There's a huge community for Ark Mobile, and this could really change a new perspective on at least ASE's development, right? Obviously, ASA is now the main core game to play, but for people who still yearn to get more ASE content, could we be seeing perhaps even more development if this is well adopted? Could we be seeing this go beyond what we know so far of Ark Survival Evolved, and Grove Street Games have the ability to run with this even further and produce more brand new content to this as your mobile version offering of Ark? Onto the interview with CurseForge, who of course handle all of the mods with Ark. We'll glance over this one pretty quickly, but there was a couple of points to note. The big one being how many people out there are playing mods. Good grief, 2/3 of you are all playing with Ark Mods to date, which is a significant number if you think about it, in that the modding scene is now so well adopted across both Steam, PC and console, and with that, what does that open up for the future of Ark? If we're all playing mods to date, then there's a good possibility we may see more future upcoming DLCs for Ark, all handled through the modding scene. I know there's certainly an argument between what should be DLC paid and installed and part of the vanilla core offering when you boot up the game, what's added to that, but if the majority of people are playing with mods, could we be seeing that a heavily adopted move for Ark? Wildcard have already done that with so many events, offering them in the form of mods, but could we be seeing perhaps their DLCs coming simply just as mods in the future? Currently, you know, things like the Pyromane and the most recent Shadow Mare are all DLC pieces, but if we're all playing mods and we're all downloading those mods, why not use that function to allow us the opportunity on whether we decide to install them at all? And with this CurseForge interview, we did get a nod to the try before you buy scheme, which was mentioned way back ages ago, and great to hear that this is certainly still on the cards for the team, and they're going to bring it to us seemingly by the end of the year. I'm pretty sure that's what they said during this interview. Something that's definitely isolating the community, where, you know, if you want to play with a mod and want to share it with people, but they don't want to pay for it, then at least there's something there to allow people to grasp an idea of what that mod is before they have to pony up the dough to enjoy it themselves. I really hope to see this one pushed out as soon as possible. It's definitely dividing the community on, you know, there's so many premium mods out and about now. There needs to be a feature such as this to allow communities to come back together for people who really want to try out those mods, not to be restricted in playing them on their own and sharing those moments with their friends who then might, well, truly adopt it themselves. And, well, this got dropped on quite late into the extra live stream, but it was a very anticipated one, and it happened when we hit that 100k milestone. The Bison, Raasclark, it's coming, a brand new creature, a free creature at that, that's going to be arriving to the map when it arrives, with Jesse and Jeremy announcing a hopeful March release date for Ark Survival Ascended next year. Though, you know, with the conversations Jesse and Jeremy were illustrating, it's fair to assume that there's a possibility that may be delayed. Come on, it's wildcard. You know what it's like. You know, they're going to try and hopefully aim for that date, but I wouldn't hold them too accountable to try and aim and drop it for that one. Either way, it's great to hear news on Raasclark that it's coming. Seems to be the next map after Extinction, and this is the creature we're going to get. Originally it was the Gigantoraptor, right, and that was brought forward and introduced in a way of compensation for players awaiting for something, some form of content, and we all wondered what on earth were they going to bring to Raasclark instead. And this is the one, a community submitted creature that you submitted numerous times in many creature votes. I guess Wildcard saw that and thought, come on, we're going to just have to drop it in at some point, and this is perhaps the perfect map to do that. And there wasn't much more to go on. The devs didn't talk about what this thing will actually do, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. Obviously, there's some fantastic, wonderful ideas on traversing this thing, what sort of saddle it's wearing, how powerful it's going to be. It looks like a powerhouse, but equally, I glanced over this during the announcements. There was a shot of a character in the bottom right of this concept art, which makes me wonder, is this alluding to something else entirely? We see someone in what almost looks like Ark 2 attire, right? Looks very akin to what Vin Diesel's wearing in the Ark 2 trailers. Not normally the player standard generic player that we find in these concept arts, and a lot of you are speculating, is this going to be some new armor skin that arrives with Raasclark? It could be a definite possibility. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but either way, brand new creature. Everybody loves a brand new creature, and apparently everybody loves a bison, so you're going to get it. It's coming, and fingers crossed in March. I don't know, I'd probably take that date with a pinch of salt. Throughout the stream, we got a first look at a bunch of different clips from Ark, the animated series, season 1, part 2. Looking really cool, looking really awesome. Though, kind of interested that a lot of the previews we've got at the end of part 1, none of them were in this. Kind of making me wonder that perhaps those preview sections that we got were alluding to even season 2 or beyond. There were some scenes, I don't want to spoil it too much, hopefully, you know, we're beyond spoilers now, but there were some scenes set in Aberration and Scorched Earth, and the ones we saw here so far, there was nothing here related to that. I think possibly there's a chance we might not be seeing those scenes until season 2. Either way, it looks really cool, can't wait to see it, but we're going to have a long time to wait because we got an exclusive interview with co-founders Jesse and Jeremy discussing not only that, but a bunch of different things, which we'll go through just now. And they did reveal Ark, the animated TV series part 2 would find sometime, I think it was June next year, which is definitely a giant delay over part 1, but at the very least I think it's good to be grounded on when to expect that. I know a lot of people out there are asking, where the heck is this? At least now we know. We've got a bit of a wait for that, and I wonder why it's been pushed back to that. Obviously the 10th anniversary is around the corner with Ark, and with that I think it seems like the devs are cooking up some ideas. From this interview I got the impression that, you know, everything's all running towards Extinction. Let's get Extinction rolling out, make sure that's all running first, and then we can start tackling a bunch of the other ideas that they've got under the hood in next year. One of which was movie. It was discussed. It was briefly discussed. It was a passionate discussion, especially from Jeremy, on the prospect of wanting to have a full-blown live-action movie. Something Doug mentioned way back years ago, and I've forever been asking that question, you know, are we actually going to get one? And it does seem that what I speculated is the same adoption with the developers, that it's simply based on the success of that animated series, that if it's popular enough, then we could definitely see a live action Ark movie. Jeremy especially really wants it to happen, but you know, there's a long road to go to make that happen, and he'll tell you what for, as we saw in our interview. Which, you know, talking about that, there's a lot of feedback from people in the moments of what's he talking about, man's going on a bit of a rant, but I really enjoyed it, and I think in post a lot of people did as well, just to see a bit more of a human side from the co-founders of Ark, that they're not just sitting there calling the shots. You know, you can see that the passion's still there for the pair of them, and they really do want to see their ideas put out and published for the future of Ark, with one being a new story map. That's right, they talked about it, they discussed it very briefly. I was very surprised to hear this, because yeah, we hadn't seen anything about this before this point, and did wonder, would this be discussed? I'm guessing it was that special surprise they mentioned last year. We all thought it, we all speculated there might be some story map, some brand new story map arriving to Ark in the future. And if they're discussing it now, is there a possibility we might see this map before even later maps such as Gen 1 and Gen 2? I think this is definitely a focus point for Ark, for the community, having some brand new content to tuck into. The fact is, with all of these cool, awesome ASA Unreal 5 remastered versions of these maps, it's no secret that there's a bit of a novelty feeling with them once you've got over all of the wizened banks of what Unreal 5 can do with these ASA maps. Content is certainly still king, and players are yearning for something fresh and new to tuck into. I see so many ASE players seeing little bits being dropped to ASA and wanting to make the jump to check out this content, but I do think this is the moment for Ark. Whenever a brand new story canon map arrives, that's going to be the one. And Jeremy said that whatever this map is, they're going to be looking at how to dial it right back so players have to really struggle through this one. No jumping through with all of the cool, all of the awesome high-end tech gear you've attained throughout Ark's other maps. He wants you to really struggle, be back at that primitive level, grinding your way through this map, as well as every other player. Reset everyone back to day one. I think we discussed this as well during this interview, that, you know, you can't recapture, we've understood that now, you can't recapture the magic of everybody playing Ark day one and being on that level of everybody learning the game, because that's, we know it, right? We know how to play Ark now. You can't do that anymore. But if there's an opportunity to somehow reinvent that progression wheel and learning and picking everything up, being pushed right back to figure out our way through all at the same time on a brand new map, that could possibly be a huge pivoting point for ASA and adoption of it for ASE players especially. Not much more known what this new story kind of map is planned to be, although a lot of you out there are speculating as well as me that it's going to be set on Arat Prime, which feels like a good and definitive link between Extinction to that map, to Gen 1 and onwards. In fact, that's why I think that we could possibly see this before Gen 1 and Gen 2, because it feels like there needs to be a map that definitely bridges the gap between those two story run-throughs. And I probably hazard a guess that whatever this is going to be, it probably will be a paid map. Now think about that for a second, and I'm really interested in your feedback on this one. Now, Wildcard never says anything, and this is me simply guessing there. You know, they did say ASA, when we get that, we're going to get it with all of the maps, and that's including Gen 1 and Gen 2 when we get those as well. But I do believe, although we'd be waiting for the rest of those maps to drop to the price that we paid for ASA, and guessing this will be at least after Ragnarok, to provide a paid map that we're not awaiting for, that we're not prepared for, that we're not planning for, but the dev team feel that they can bring something in with that they could perhaps influence even Gen 1 and Gen 2 later on down the line. We find out new mechanics, new gameplay systems with this brand new map that we have to pay for, but then influences the maps that we've already paid for. I know. I'm looking forward to your feedback on this one especially, and just your thoughts on that. I'm fine with it, but you know, I'm an Ark fan, right? So it's easier for me to say that, and I'm more curious to what you think would be the possibility there if that was to happen, if we would get that new story map that bridges the time between Extinction and Gen 1, but it's going to be a paid map. How do you feel about that if it's a brand new story map? I was hoping with that conversation there might be some way to segue Ark's 10th anniversary. It's their, you know, their big giant 10-year anniversary next year, and perhaps that they might be saving it for that moment, right, and rolling out a few things during that one, but instead diverted to a few quick fire questions that I know you in the community especially wanted to know. Wildfire babies, that we went into much detail about that one, especially, you know, why they haven't brought in wildfire babies yet, but there's certainly some ways to deliver those. It's just going to take the team some time in creating some new system, some new unique system to adopt that. They were mentioning things like perhaps nests that we could find with creatures, and with that's going to take time, and right now Extinction is the priority, but they're hoping next year they could look at that. And with next year there was of course talks about, you know, the possibility of TLC. TLC is a thing we haven't seen since I think 2020 was the last time when we got the Stego and Mammoth TLCs. We haven't seen anything since then, and with so many creatures arriving that are making other creatures even more redundant. One great example is of course the recent Archelon that now makes the Carbonummer's turtle feeling like a real age-old prehistoric thing in itself. I know it's a prehistoric dino, but you know what I mean. Definitely need to start considering some of those really old creatures being provided some form of facelift to bring them up to scratch and compete with some of the really creative creatures that are dropping out as we speak. Another one was Sotif. I tried to get it in there. I know there's you know, that age-old argument with Sotif, and a lot of people are saying it's done now, give it up already, but I do firmly believe there's still a window there, and I discussed this some time ago, a few months ago, that could we perhaps include Sotif with Club Ark, give even further reason to bring people to Club Ark. It's no secret that the devs really want Club Ark to thrive, and definitely need to find some new ways to draw players into that experience, and Sotif I think is one. If there was an opportunity to, you know, go and play a game of Sotif and then being first place gives you something to redeem at Club Ark, and it's all through Club Ark, there's a window there. Maybe it's the very last window. I really hope they at least attempt it. It's there, it's built. Codigo Alex spent a long time making this new version of Sotif. It'd be great to see at least something being used. Nobody's playing it at the moment, which really sucks, and just seeing at least all of that hard work go to some use and integrate it with Sotif. And Jeremy seems aligned in the answer that he provided with that we could potentially see that next year. Fingers crossed on that one. We'll have to wait and see. Something else we'll have to wait and see on is, of course, cryopods. I tried, man. I tried. I know that was perhaps the biggest question you all had. What's going on with cryopods? What's going on with using them like we did in ASE when Extinction arrives? Are we going to see cryopods used exactly the same way? So far, they're used within a limited capacity. Obviously, they weren't planned for ASA when it arrived, but the amount of lag and issues we were facing, it was quickly turned around in this limited range that, you know, you have to have a powered cryo fridge nearby in order to use cryopods. Now, of course, we've got the Shadowmare that has its own built-in cryopod feature, which is fascinating, but it's not exactly a cryopod, so I can allow that one to be its own thing and its own ability. But definitely one reason a lot of people probably are paying for that one, having a mobile, non-powered needed single-use cryopod creature. But I think it's time, with Extinction arriving, you know, that's what we got with ASC. Come on, I think it's time to just get them back to what we knew. I think perhaps the devs are apprehensive because of the, you know, the PvP balance with cryopods. But, and listen, you know, I'm obviously not the biggest PvPer in the world, but it does seem that it's creating a bigger advantage to players with the current cryopod mechanics, and we need to do everything we can to bring people back out of the caves, right? And there's a thing we're going to be discussing shortly that might hopefully change that for the future of Ark. And with that, all the Extinction reveals. We got Robo-Dog. Don't call it Robo-Dog. Same told me off a few times for calling it Robo-Dog. Listen, from sitting far away, it looked like a Robo-Dog. It's not a Robo-Dog. It's Doggo. That's what it is, which is a definitely interesting new unique feature, an extension of your character. It's not just a simple creature that you normally tame, though we don't know the taming mechanics, and apparently we won't learn the taming mechanics until the game comes out. There's got to be something for you to entice you to go and discover yourself, right? And content creators like me trying to make guide videos on how to tame them, right? But this thing looks really, really cool. There's some interesting features. I look forward to seeing how metas could possibly change as a result of this. But at its most primitive level, having your own pet dog that you can pet and feed and essentially train through experience you're earning being moved onto your doggo, it's going to be that bonding experience, right, with this. I think that's what they're definitely trying to push out with this one, looking at games like Fallout, right? Fallout does it, Wasteland War, I think there's definitely a small link there. But this thing does a lot, has a lot of different, unique, interesting features under the hood. Of course, there's the multitude of different saddles that you're able to equip on this to do the variety of things you want it to, all of which I believe are all going to be blueprints that you will be able to get higher qualities for in the game. So that's something notably worthy of and could definitely reflect how healthy your doggo is. One thing, especially before we go into the saddles, is artifacts, right? This is a brand new thing. It's the first creature that's going to be able to carry at least one artifact. That's an extension of you, so you'll be able to carry one artifact and Doggo will be able to carry one artifact. There's some interesting ways on how they're going to make sure this thing navigates around to you, how it, if it's anywhere on the map, it'll teleport, it'll dig down and then teleport straight to you, so don't get too worried about it getting stuck behind a rock when you're traversing the map. But this thing's got some great distracting features under the hood, able to combat alongside with you, able to run just that little bit quicker than you, that you can take advantage with one of its saddles, especially I was interested in its speed buff saddle, that with that it'll run even quicker, and you can double up with Focal Chili to make not only this thing but you run even quicker around the map. Obviously movement speed isn't a thing anymore with ASA, and that saddle alone I'm very, very curious to see more of. You've got a bag attachment allowing the Doggo to carry extra weight, so you know that's allowing you to free up for other things. You've got the med kit allowing an emergency support, automatically healing you, so working like an infinite med brew, though with a cooldown, so you know you won't be able to abuse it too much, but having something that's healing you constantly is going to be a big benefit. I can see myself using that one quite frequently. The spikes and extra armor allowing either extra bite or protection in battle, and you know if you scale up its tank worthiness or its melee, could definitely change the shift in battle, even perhaps being a turret runner, right? You throw one up and allow it to charge at turrets alongside you. You're adorning your best high quality gear with your C4 in hand, allowing you to tank just that little bit extra. And of course, with the turrets needing to be able to target creatures and not just player only, you'll need to be now considering from a defensive perspective what your turrets are set on and making sure they're shooting both your doggo and your player. The meat sack, a fascinating one I can see some great opportunities with, allowing to take the heat off you in tight spots. So you know you got a Giga coming your way, you got a boss maybe coming your way, you can allow it to be distracted to your doggo and chase after that in one direction whilst you get in an advantageous position to deal even more damage. A food basket that allows to replenish your hunger and thirst meters, so at the very least you haven't got to worry about having food items in your hotbar, and instead can put them on your doggo, freeing those slots up for you for something else and just allowing that thing to keep topping you up as time ticks on. An ammo box, which is pretty insane, refilling whatever weaponry you've got, like, you know, an ammo box would be for turrets instead now for the weapons that you're carrying. And let's face it, with some weapons having some really weighty ammo, looking at things like the compound bow, for example, this could be a real benefit. And look forward to the range, especially exactly what that's going to be. I think they said it's almost double the range of a chibi you'll find the Doggo normally at. If it's beyond that, it should teleport to you, so perhaps that will be the range with its ammo box. The spyglass especially I'm curious about. Like Craig Brown, who introduced these and went through all of the Extinction reveals, couldn't go into too much detail surrounding that, but seemed to allude it's going to be somewhere between a traditional normal spyglass and tech binoculars, that it might offer more information about the creatures that you're looking at, but perhaps not all of the information. Doesn't want to make the tech binoculars completely redundant. And with that, I could see some possibilities of having just some extra eyes, right? If the Doggo is facing behind you and you're able to look through the spyglass of the Doggo and you're able to look behind yourself, you've now got eyes in every direction, right? I can see some curious opportunities there. The oxygen tank that the devs are hopeful they might be able to add flippers to as well, allowing you to breathe underwater, share oxygen with your Doggo. I think that's going to be a major factor for underwater exploration. Again, that, you know, it frees you up to use other things, having a bit more extra tankiness. Let's face it, when you're down in the sea and you've got that scuba tank on and something hits it and breaks it, it always sucks. Wouldn't it be cool if you didn't have to worry about that and you can wear whatever armor you prefer to and let your Doggo take all of the oxygen that you need? The rolled sleeping bag I was very, very curious about, and how it possibly could get over abused. We'll have to wait and see on that one. You know, there's insulation that it's going to offer and a resting spot that allows your tribe mates to travel beds to your spot. I'm very curious how that one exactly is going to get used. A bit like a Fjord Hawk, I guess, but not exactly like a Fjord Hawk. But with that and its ability to hold whatever it's in its inventory, if you die and you need to respawn either to it with its sleeping bag on it, or perhaps back at base, you can quickly navigate, move a bunch of materials super quickly with your Doggo. And a chibi basket, which I find absolutely hilarious, meaning we're going to find, you know, those memes where people put cuddly toys on the back of their pets and they go running and that? That's what we're going to find with chibis instead. I think for that purpose alone is hilarious. But Craig Brown went on to explain that we're going to allow a second chibi to level alongside you, getting those experience points. But I'm still curious. I wish I'd talked about it in the moment, how that's actually going to work, because, you know, you only get the levels of the chibis when it's in your hotbar. What does the advantages provide with having a second chibi within a Doggo? I'm not quite understanding that, but I think for the hilarity of just seeing your chibis riding on the back of a Doggo, for that alone is going to be funny, and I can't wait to see it. Then we got to look at the skins. Very cool, adapting the Mad Max themes that we've all come to expect, hope for with this Wasteland Bob's Tall Tales Extinction DLC. All interchangeable with both male and female skins, allowing you to adorn a mix and match of whatever's there. Not sure if there's going to be more of these when the DLC comes out. I wasn't too clear on that, but either way, you know, skins are skins. We all love skins, right? And you've got to definitely play out the part if you're going to be riding what we're about to talk about in just a moment. But I do need to see a guitar, a flaming guitar, somehow, somewhere, needs to happen. And with those skins, we'll be seeing a bunch of cosmetics for the structures as well. Structure cosmetic skins are back with this final part of the 3 segmented DLC, with this time Wasteland War Pack structure skins looking very cool. Much more 3-dimensional stuff popping out, being placed. You can see on this one on the Behemoth Gate, skulls, tires, chain links, bones, all adorning different structures, and I'm really looking to see how well adapted they're going to be with a range of different structures out there, including a brand new structure that was revealed during this. Not sure whether they was planning to mention this, but they did. A brand new dino gate, a 3x3 dino gate, which is absolutely huge, a brand new structure, and we haven't had anything like this for a very, very long time. It seems like it's going to open a bit more like a trapdoor with 2 different parts to it, a bottom and top, or a left and a right that's going to swivel out whenever you open it. And with that, you'll be able to throw on this structure skin. It'll be interesting to see if they backdate it to the previous structure skins and allow those to be equipped onto this brand new dino gate as well. But there's a reason for this dino gate, because we got our first look at the cars and the garage. This thing is insane. I'm still trying to break it all down as we speak. There's so many interchangeable features with this, but the garage alone is its own replaceable structure, a giant fancy looking garage to put wherever you need to essentially build your cars in. This is the place you're going to go to pimp your rides with a range of different attachments, a very cool looking structure that you'll be able to build on top of. And during the interview, I kind of tried to speculate we'd find like decals, so it is like literally pimp my rides, but I think the devs were glossing over that a bit during the interview. But it sounds like we might be getting some form of decals, but yeah, they wouldn't go into too much detail there. But the different options to make your vehicles is astounding. It was well over 20,000 different combinations, meaning the rarity, as long as you're all, you know, trying to like make some really cool different custom vehicles, the rarity of running into somebody with the same design is going to be so slim, because how you build it is really going to impact how exactly your vehicle works. Of course, we all look at the ATV from ASE and we've got this expectation of how not too great that one used to drive, but the devs are very, very confident on the ability of these and expecting some really cool moments from using these on Extinction. Your vehicle will have a cab allowing to seat your driver and a passenger, with yes, your passenger allowing to shoot out of the windows, though they're going to restrict exactly what you're allowed to shoot, and there's other shooting abilities. We'll look at those in just a moment. All powered by a brand new resource, a special fuel that sounds like it might be made from simply gasoline. Don't quite know exactly how, but Zane did mention during the extra live stream that it would be pretty easy to make, so I don't think we need to worry about that too much. But a brand new resource altogether with that, and just to even glimpse at some of the attachments, felt like we were going to get some really cool Mario Kart-esque driving, some racing going around. One in particular we discussed in heavy detail was this hook that's going to allow you to attach to a knocked out creature, a knocked out player, so trolling will definitely be on the cards, though I do think you deal some damage whenever you hook anything, so you know, make sure you got some sushi around if you're deciding to hook a just recently tamed creature and plan to take it back somewhere safe to make sure it's tamed absolutely fine. There's going to be a bunch of different features allowing your vehicles to either drive super fast but not be as tanky, or completely the opposite. Some ability to boost in the air, jump, because you know with other maps these aren't perhaps as vehicle friendly, having some terrain, some difficult terrain to navigate, so there needs to be some way to bound over certain obstacles, and they're going to be introducing some way to make sure you can navigate your vehicles around any and every map. And with that, discuss the possibility of if your vehicle overturns, it'll be very simple to roll it back onto its four wheels. But either way, they did say there's some weight distribution there, so not to worry too much. Kind of get the feeling it all sounds very Warthog-esque in controlling these vehicles. I really hope it is. I mean, everybody loves to drive a Warthog, right? So I'm hoping we're going to get something similar to that. And the attachments, they were just through the roof. Afterburner, spike grill, buzzsaw, as we can see in this picture. But there was so much discussed, and in particular the turrets you're going to be able to mount onto your vehicles. There was a range shown off during this extra live, and we went through all of the abilities of these and what to expect from them. I'm really hoping we'll see these used in particular for Titan fights, the cannon especially being an absolute powerhouse, and maybe that could be a brand new way to tame Titans. But the other weapons as well, the flamethrower dealing flamethrower damage on top, it's going to really melt away opponents. Not too much of a range with that one, as mentioned. The shotgun being an all-powerful rapid-fire shotgun. Seeker missile launcher, which sounds insane, not like a SAM as informed to me, but it will seek out your flyers and shoot out. I guess it's more akin to the homing missile launcher we've got with Scorched Earth, right? And being able to track your targets, chasing them away out in the wasteland, and just taking them out mid-air with a Seeker missile is going to be very fun. The minigun, of course, as we've come to expect from what we know of the miniguns that we can use already in Ark. And curious exactly with this, because let's face it, it's always been a little bit jank with using miniguns on the back of a saddle. Never been quite completely fully targetable on whatever you're shooting at. It never feels like every single bullet's landing, so this really does need to work absolutely bullet precise with every single piece of ammo you spent the resources to craft. And then the Tribe Tower. This is Wildcard's hope to revert in some poetic way what happened when ASE Extinction arrived and pull people out of caves. It's been the ever ongoing issue with Ark PvP, right? People hiding away in their caves, and they're hoping this is going to be the way to prevent that, and I really truly hope it does. It's going to definitely serve some advantages for PvE as well. Don't feel like it's going to be restricted to PvP, this structure, with it being a massive unrepairable monolith that boosts your tribe's power as long as it stands, allowing a buff stack for each real life day it remains standing, increasing XP gains, reducing boss cooldowns, and if you can keep it running every 30 days, it's going to reward you elements from beating bosses, stacking up to 5 times. And with this thing, you'll be able to adorn all of your Apex items, your artifacts, and show off, you know, how much progression you've done in Ark at the moment. But of course, with PvP, the more you're showing off, the more people are gunning for you and want a piece of the action, because if they can, and they will, try and take this thing out, it won't be repairable. So you're gonna want to make sure it's definitely well defended. The devs said they've made sure they're going to find out a way to stop you from building above it. In fact, you will be able to build above it, but if you do, it won't power how it normally does. It won't work the way it does and resets to day 1 of its buffs. So you really do need to keep it open and defended only from the outside of it. But anyone successful enough to destroy this is going to have the boasting prowess of adorning their names on your tower, displaying, telling you who raided you, which I guess, you know, is a big, giant, satisfying finger to the people that have spent the time and effort to do this. I can definitely see a lot of people adorning this. Even in the unofficial community, I can already see some great advantages, like, you know, from a much tamer PvP perspective, like we like to, in the monarchy, of course, we like to cut people's hair and change their color. If you can adapt that concept with this and have to have their name displayed on your tribe tower because they were successful in hitting your tower, I think there's some cool ideas with this. I'm curious how well adopted it's going to be, and if this really will be the definitive moment of pulling people out of caves. I think they're going to still probably live in their caves, but they're going to have to start thinking about protecting the outside areas and protecting their towers that are outside, and hopefully will encourage more of that type of gameplay back as it were pre-Extinction on ASE. Not forgetting Fjorda map creator Nakatas, and of course his map is currently working on Astraeus that a lot of people are enjoying, the most anticipated mod map in my opinion. And Nakata showed off the new planned expansion part to this, bringing a whole new island with a whole new bunch of content to that. We're going to be seeing new creatures, new tameable creatures, a tameable version of the Minotaur. He mentioned there's going to be a Cyclops boss to fight, I think, with this expansion to the map, as we'll see with Astraeus, and no penned date for that. But I do believe with the creatures, he was really hoping it wouldn't be too far around the corner we'd see the new seahorse, and also mentioned with that we're going to find some whole underwater Atlantis region to explore with the map as time ticks on. So a lot of cool things coming to Astraeus. Can't wait to check those out. But you might have missed it, or might have probably heard it, with talking to Nakatas. He announced some giant news, and it really is giant news, that Valguero, that map that he made, his very first map that moved to the official roster with ASE, Nakatas himself is going to be in charge of giving it that ASA facelift, Ascended as you were. And I think that's the right move, right? The dude who originally incepted that game and can look at it and obviously has a keen eye for running great maps with ASA, with Svartalfheim and now Astraeus. I think it's a great move to get Nakatas jumping on board and seeing what more can be added to this ASA version of Val. I'm very excited in particular about this one. I get the feeling we'd see this map at some point next year. It's got to be next year, right? It makes sense it's going to be next year. And with that, it was also announced later on in the Extra Life charity stream that we're going to be having a brand new community creature vote for this map, for Ascended. That's right, folks. You're going to once again be able to pitch your creatures, argue amongst you who's got the best creature and what is going to be the most fitting creature for this map. Possibly we'll find out more details about that one this weekend, who knows. Either way, it's very, very cool news, and already there's speculation on the Cartus maybe even re-looking at Fjorda and bringing Fjorda to Ark Survival Ascended as well. Both again, Valguera and Fjorda, if he does get that one as well, will be on the official roster. I know there was some questions surrounding that during the Extra Life stream, but I think this is a definitely worthy move. It's the man who knows his map. It's his map, it's his baby, and there's no one better to really push it and bring it out to ASA. And just to tail off, we got a great opportunity to speak with audio director Stephen Baker, who obviously was so passionate about his work. I really hope you caught this feature especially. It was really cool to get to know the bloke and understand how involved he is with Ark sounds and how passionate he is to produce all of the wonderful effects you hear throughout playing Ark, as well as bringing Clayton back to draw a creature with your suggestions, ideas, something again thoroughly enjoyed. I did have an opportunity to try and attempt to draw this thing myself, but you know it would have looked like some weird phallic creature. Let's not talk about that one anymore. And I did offer some feedback following this one that wouldn't it be cool if we tried to bring at least even those to get even one step closer to creating a full-blown creature during an Extra Life stream. Think about that for a second. Wouldn't that be cool? And I'd love to hear if you'd love that for next year. If you could, during an Extra Life stream, potentially make a whole full-blown fleshed out creature to maybe the point of rigging. I know that element takes a long time, but yeah, I think if you want that to happen for next year, start feeding it back to the devs, and I think they might be interested in taking that on, you know, fingers crossed. As well as Marco and his dino guessing game, which I absolutely sucked at, so thanks for that, Marco, or me. Maybe I need to brush up on my dino understanding information of close-ups. But of course, interviewing the powerhouse, the man who is Gareth Coker. I've got to say, I was so nervous about this interview. Just understanding the weight of somebody a lot of people look up to, a lot of people adore, and wanted to make sure I was asking the right questions for you in the community and for the devs and for everyone. The guy is so talented, and you could see his passion certainly seep through throughout this entire conversation, and look forward to, hopefully, as he said in the interview, maybe seeing some new genres of music. Ark rock, anyone? There's a few ideas that Gareth Coker would love to be challenged with and pursue for Ark's future. Got to hear a few cool new tunes for Ark the Animated Series Part 2. I mean, it's Gareth Coker, man. It's one of those. It's so hard to try and big up a dude who doesn't need any bigging up, right? You know the guy. You know the guy. And again, I don't know if it was obvious, but I was bricking it. I just wanted to make sure I nailed that interview in particular, and really hope that you enjoyed that part especially as much as I did. No real Ark 2 news. It was kind of glossed over by Jeremy during our chats in this interview. And again, just thank you so much for this opportunity. I really hope that they all enjoyed it and had somebody to segue a bit of a bridge for the community in trying to ask the right questions, not pushing it too much. You know, obviously there's an element of respect in having this opportunity and asking these questions that I've got to be a bit careful with. But again, I want to be pushing the stuff that you guys want to know about, and I really, really, really hope I delivered on all ends and helped to create that link more so with this stream. I'm hoping to get a vlog out in the future following this. I've got to make sure, you know, I get approval, because, you know, it's a vlog and that. But I do really believe this was a much better Extra Life than last year, just in terms of reveals. There was a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of things to consider for the future of Ark. At least brand new story map, there it is. We now know there is one coming. When it's coming, not too sure, not too clear. Hopefully next year. And with the 10th anniversary being next year, I think this could be a brand new chapter in the Ark franchise and in developer community relationships. It's no secret it's been quite divided. They've definitely integrated a few ideas and brought the community as close as they can do, but this really feels like a step beyond that I really hope opens up doors to many more creators, and just being able to see the passion of the guys. I think that interview in particular, I know Jeremy went on a bit of a rant, but I loved it for it. I loved the rant because it was just showing a dude who, like us, just wants to make the coolest next best thing and loves what they're doing, right? I think we all saw that, and I hope you really did enjoy it. I'm rambling now, so I'll leave it there. Good grief, we went through a bit more than I expected, and I guess that's a testament to how much there was to talk about the Extra Life event next year, another one. And you know, who knows what will happen with that one following the success of this one. So yeah, if you enjoyed it all and enjoyed this, comment below and all that jazz. So until the next one, my name is Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, peace out.